Alright guys, welcome to the Movie Reviewers 100 channel, collaboration channel where we weekly choose a new theme and all 7 members pick something from that theme and do a video. My name is James. I'm the newest member of the collaboration. I would once again like to take this opportunity to thank everybody that's part of this great channel. Please subscribe. Please check out their videos. These are some of the best reviewers on YouTube. My other channel, DVD Collector 1974, is where I do a lot of other kind of reviews and my favorites and stuff like that. So, but anyway, this week's theme is originals versus remakes. Some of the guys have put up some really good stuff so far, so I've got some competition ahead of me. For this theme, I have chosen the 1981 and the 2010 films Clash of the Titans. So, with that being said, I cannot honestly do anything with these movies without telling you the truer story of Perseus in a way that only I could tell you, with non-accurate names, a lot of slang, and haven't read these stories in 15 to 20 years. This is just what's stored in my head. So first, that's what I'm going to do first, and then we'll go over the movies themselves. So sit back, enjoy. This is the truest that I can give you story of Perseus. I'll be right back. Hey guys, DVD Collector here. Just a little cut and paste intro here to tell you all a little story. The story of Perseus as told by me, as only I could tell you. Do not adjust your computer screens. There's nothing wrong with the color. My Superman shirt is purple because it's not a Superman shirt, it's Bizarro. It's supposed to be backwards and it's supposed to be purple. So, anyway, let's jump right into this. Perseus. So, we're reviewing the 2 Clash of the Titans movies this week, so this is my way of telling you that they're both pretty wrong. So let me get right into the story. Perseus's mother, and please excuse the lack of names and or places names in this part of the video, because this is all coming from probably me reading this story 15 some odd years ago. So names are not so good in mythology for me. I do know the story, but I do not know the names. Anyway, Perseus's mother was married to a king. The king wanted a son very badly, so he asked the oracles to read, when he would have a son. It came back as the prophecy would be that his son would be the death of him, would have a hand in killing him. So, being scared of this, he locked his wife in a tower, cavern, something. It's different. Different versions of this story are different depending on where you read it. So please bear that in mind throughout this story. There's no need to criticize it because it's true. It's just my way of telling it and mushing the different versions together. So anyway, she was locked in something. We'll say she was locked in a tower with no ceiling. Zeus was a very overbearing god, so this telling of the prophecy and interfering with the fate pissed him off. So he visited Perseus's mother with the form of a shower of gold, went all over her body, impregnated her with Perseus, and left. Whatever amount of time passed by, the king decided to go visit the wife. Maybe he missed her, maybe he was just curious. But when he went to the tower. He heard the laughter or playing of a child. When he opened the door, he seen Perseus as a small baby and completely got pissed off, scared, everything to do, because he knew this was the doing of the gods. So he tried to cover it up by boarding his wife and her son in a box, casket, something, some form of crate, and ordered it to be thrown into the ocean. Now, in order not to piss off Zeus any further, different tellings of the story say that he contacted Poseidon to have Poseidon let this crate find safe passage. So whatever. The crate found an island. All right. A fisherman on the island found the crate, opened the crate, found the baby, raised Perseus as his own. The fisherman's brother was the king, ruler, somebody high up on this island. He fell madly in love with Perseus' mother, wanted her hand in marriage. He knew that was never going to happen because since Perseus had no father, that meant he was the man of the house, and he had to give her away, and he knew that wasn't going to go. So what he did was he had a banquet, and he asked that everybody bring gifts, and he asked that everybody bring horses so that he could offer them up to a goddess, god, somebody higher than him. Perseus, of course, had no horses, so Perseus went to him and said, I have no horses, ask of me another gift. And quick thinking like, he said, I want the head of Medusa the Gorgon, knowing good well that the Gorgon would probably kill Perseus. So of course Perseus accepted it, being the stubborn young lad that he was. He had to be stubborn, he was the son of Zeus. So anyway, he went to the Gorgon's sisters. In both movies they refer to them as the Stygian witches. Some mythology, so whatever you read, we'll call them that too. What they were three sisters of the Gorgons. They were cursed with one eye and one tooth among all three. So only one could see and one could eat at a time. And depending on which one had the eye, they seen the future, the past, or the present. So anyway, Perseus shows up. He asks, where can I find the Gorgon? Blah, blah, blah. They get, no, we're not telling you nothing. That's our sister, blah, 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 whatever. But he steals the eye and the tooth. They can't do anything now. So upon him stealing the property, they spill their beans. They say where she's at, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna say blah, blah, blah again, I promise. But anyway, they tell him everything he wants to know. He gives the eye back, he gives the tooth back, he goes about his business, and he's granted gifts by the gods. He's granted a sword, a shield, what do you call it? I call it a knapsack. What else? There was a helmet. The helmet was actually from Hades, and I'll side note this real quick. Hades gave him the helmet. It was his helmet of darkness, which basically gave him invisibility to walk around with the humans or sneak out of Hades where he was being held, or sneak out of Hades, sneak out of the underworld where he was being held, with the knowing that if this helmet ever touched the ground, he could reclaim it. He was forced to give it up by Zeus anyway. And that part in the movie was where he dropped it in the swamp, and everybody's thinking, well, why don't he just reach down and pick it up? Well, it probably disappeared. That's what the myth says. Anyway, and a pair of winged boots. Okay. He gets those gifts. He's off to fight Medusa. So now we're going to go off on another little tangent and talk about Medusa. Medusa was a beautiful, beautiful girl, possibly a priestess of Athena. She was seduced by Poseidon in the temple of Athena. This really pissed off Athena, and she decided to curse Medusa. Now, keep in mind that at this point Medusa is pregnant. But we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, she cursed her to be a Gorgon. And to be exiled to this island, cave, cavern, something. Perseus put on his winged boots and his helmet. Well, not his helmet. He put on his winged boots, gathered his stuff up, took off for the island. Well, he flew to the island. When he got to the island, he got out his shield with a reflective back end and snuck into the Gorgon's cave. And Medusa was asleep, so the whole fight scene didn't happen. Medusa was asleep. He crept on her with the shield, cut her head off, put it in a bag. There was 2 other Gorgons there, and they were getting ready to hunt on him when he put the Hades helmet on and left. Now, back to Medusa being pregnant. At this point, when her head was lopped from her shoulders, she was pregnant at this time with Poseidon's unborn children. They were twins, but they didn't look a lot alike. One, depending on what story you read, it was a giant, a humanoid, something, whatever it was Poseidon's son. And the other one was Pegasus, and that's where Pegasus comes from. Perseus never rode Pegasus in this original, myth. Pegasus was the son of Medusa and Poseidon. He was a winged horse. The only person that could ride him was his brother, the golden giant humanoid person. So, back to Perseus. That was the story of Pegasus anyway. Back to Perseus. Perseus flies. He's going, I got the head of Medusa. Going back to claim my kingdom. So, on the way, he stops off at this other kingdom. And upon arriving, he realizes that they're in great peril. They need help. The king and his beautiful, beautiful queen, who was much more beautiful, she thought she was much more beautiful than she was apparently. The queen professed that she was more beautiful than the goddesses of Olympus. So this pissing Zeus off, said, no, you're not. We are going to destroy your city unless you offer up your daughter Andromeda as a sacrifice. So this is where the Kraken comes in, who was not the Kraken. I believe it's the creature's name, if I can remember this right. Katos, Ceatos, something like that. But all it was a sea creature. All it was described as a giant shark, giant squid, some kind of a sea creature. Which, because I believe, and I could be wrong about this because it's been a long time since I read this, the Kraken actually comes from Norse mythology, I believe, and was later adopted into this story. So anyway, they sent the Kraken. The Kraken comes to the city, and they have decided to give up Andromeda. They tie her to a rock. The Kraken comes. Perseus says, no, this ain't happening. He kills the Kraken with Medusa's head. Claims Andromeda for his wife. And gets out of town. So that part in the movie's there. He goes back to his own island, where it gets mixed up with 2 different stories now. One story says that he presents the head of Medusa to the king of the island, and one of the guests to this banquet was his mother's husband that sent them out to sea, and he witnessed this too, and they both turned to stone. Another story I read, and the one I remember the most, was he presented it to that king of the island. The king died. The king turned to stone and died. The earthly father had nothing to do with it. So anyway, he kills the king with the head. He gives his mother's hand in marriage to the fisherman that raised him. Blah, blah, blah. They live happily ever after. Have lots of sons and daughters. But I assume, because it's not really clear, that there was a great games played because this guy was the new king. And during these games, Perseus competed. They were probably something like the Olympic Games, or something of that stature. And during this time, the king that had thrown Perseus and Perseus' mother into the sea came to the island and was hit in the head and killed by a discus that Perseus threw accidentally, therefore ending the prophecy of Perseus killing his father, or killing his mom's husband. So that's the story of Perseus. So I will let you get back to the actual video. I'm sorry if that bored you to death, but I just wanted you to know the true story of Perseus before we go into the movies, which neither movie are bad. They're both good for different reasons. At the end, I'll let you know which one I like more, which one I like less. So, here we go. Now. Okay, guys, we're back. Hopefully you sat through that. I tried to not make it too wrong, but too wrong. Well, I tried not to make it too wrong. I tried not to make it too long as well. I didn't want to bore you guys, but I just felt that you had to know that neither one of these films are completely accurate, but both films are good in their own way. So let's jump right into that. First, let's give you an overview of the Blu-rays, they're both Blu-rays themselves. The 1981 version that I have is the Blu-ray digibook. I don't think this was too hard to find. I believe this came from Walmart, if I'm not mistaken. So, all it is it's just the Blu-ray, starring Burgess Meredith. I never really looked at this. Starring Burgess Meredith, Harry Hamlin, and some old guy that you may or may not have ever heard of, Laurence Olivier. So, if you've heard of him, you've heard of him. Anyway, you'll start off with the front cover here. It's very embossed. It's popping out at you. You can rub your fingers over Medusa and the Kraken, and nothing on Perseus. The book itself, it's just like any other digibook. It's full of information. It's got a trivia page on it. Some very vibrant, great pictures. Special effects were done by Ray Harryhausen, who was a stop-motion genius back in the day. The one thing I have a problem with this movie is that for 1981, it should have been a lot better, special effect-wise. But we're going to get into that in a minute. I'm just going to do the review of the cases themselves right now. Comes with like really good posters, coming summer of 1981. There you can see the shield and sword, and that's all he gets in the movie. There's Bubo, the owl, who, whatever. There's a pretty good shot of the Medusa head that was made. But anyway, that's what it is. A standard digibook. I don't have very many of these, but I love these. These and steelbooks are my absolute favorite. So anyway, there's that. The 2010 release of Clash of the Titans, starring Sam Worthington, that's his name. It's just a bare bones. Well, not really bare bones. It has an alternate ending on it. It's got a little bit of special effects in it. Pretty good. Pretty good DVD or Blu-ray. I picked this up fairly cheap. Had a slipcover, but as you've known from other reviews of mine, I'm not a big fan of slipcovers because that's where they stick those stupid stickers that will not peel off. So I usually strip them down and toss them right. Sometimes I keep them. So there we go. All right, let's get right into this. Clash of the Titans, 1981. This is a beautiful classic film. The from both films from A to B are exactly the same. The whole goal is to defeat the Kraken in both movies. Whether or not Perseus in 1981 accepts the fact that the gods want to help him, he has nothing on his mind but saving the city and rescuing Andromeda. Perseus 2010, however, whole goal is to just destroy the Kraken. They leave the Andromeda's in this, but she's not the focus of the movie. She's not his love interest. They bring another character in for this movie that's in the actual mythology. She is cursed, eventually cursed, and turned to a cow. I'm sure you've heard that story. I'm not going to go into that because it's not important in this movie. Clash of the Titans is a movie, and if you watched any of my top 100 favorite film videos, eventually you will see this movie because it's one of my absolute favorites. I just think it's a fun movie from A to B. It flows. There's the only problem I have with this movie is the stop motion that they use for Calibus is awful. When they show close-ups of his chest to his face, he's a man in makeup, and it's perfect. Anytime they show him fighting whatsoever, they have to go to stop motion. I don't know why they couldn't have just made a prosthetic tail or whatever. Because truly, and I'm getting off on a tangent again, and I'm really sorry about this, but truly the story of Calibus is he was not the son of a goddess. He was a prince. He asked the gods to come down. He stole some food from the gods, and he was banished from eating dinner with them. So he asked them to his place to get some food. When he did, he hit on Zeus's wife. That pissed Zeus off. Zeus disfigured him. He did not try to kill off all the animals. He did not try to kill the winged Pegasi, or anything like that. So, but anyway, they did what they did with this, and it was great. Medusa looked amazing in this movie. I remember very fondly the figures in which I still own a Perseus figure. It's the only one I own. I used to have them all. I don't know what happened to them in my childhood, but pretty much I prefer this movie over the other one. I love the story in this. I love the flow. I love the acting, even though Harry Hamlin is a little cheese in here, and I don't really see a point for Burgess Meredith's character except to drive Perseus along. The cities are beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. A lot of the stop motion is beautiful. My favorite part of this entire movie, of course, is Medusa. All the beautiful, beautiful women in this movie. So there we go. Here we go. Here's a cast list right here. Harry Hamlin, Judy Bowker, who was fairly new to acting at this point. Burgess Meredith, which you remember as Mickey from Rocky. Just a few down through here. And Laurence Olivier as Zeus. Special effects, Harry Hamlin. Directed by Desmond Davis. So that's Clash of the Titans 1981. Beautiful, beautiful piece to go on my wall. If you have not checked this out, please watch this. At least for the Medusa scenes. Okay? So let's go to 2010. We'll fast forward from 1981 to 2010, where Perseus is a fisherman, and parts of the story both of the stories have parts that are really good. This movie visually is amazing, but that's about it. It's a fun movie. It's a fun sit back and watch action movie. Now I'll go off on another little tangent here about Sam Worthington. He is I don't remember what I first seen him in. But anyway, he's somebody that I want to like him. I want to like him in movies, but I just think there's some hidden something hidden inside him that needs to come out to make him a good actor. Which he's not terrible, but I don't think action films are his forte. I think he should look at that and try something else. But anyway, the stuff in this movie that I liked is, of course, Medusa. That character has always intrigued me. I love anything to do with Medusa. The scorpions are amazing in this. They were a little bit... They had the actual mythology and some made up all in one. The scorpions on Earth were actually created from the blood of Medusa's head dropping in the desert as he flew over the deserts. In this one, it was the blood of Calibus, or it wasn't even Calibus, it was the king. It was his mother's husband's blood, which they used as a Calibus type character to create these. The jinn did not exist. They weren't even from that type of mythology. But all in all, the Kraken looked good. Liam Neeson, of course, amazing in everything he does. Played Zeus. I loved the special effects with Hades, and that was about it. That's all I can really say about this movie. It was a fun movie. It's a good sit back and enjoy movie. It's not it'll never be a classic. It'll never outshine 1981's classic. And it has a sequel that I bought on Black Friday, but I have not watched. I've never seen Wrath of the Titans. I do know a little bit of a story of Wrath of the Titans that we'll go into another day, but I don't know how there's a Wrath of the Titans if he doesn't marry Andromeda. But anyway, there we go. This is my second video for the collaboration group. This is original versus remake week, and I hope you enjoyed this. So check everybody else's videos out, rate us, subscribe us, that kind of stuff. Tell your friends about us, whatever. So until next week on this channel, my name is James once again, and I will see you next Tuesday. And if you haven't got enough of my glorious face, please head over to DVD Collector 1974 channel, where I'm currently doing a top 100 video right now. So thanks for stopping by. Later.